Somebody has to go. You attendees, if you need to go use the restroom, just get up and go and come back real quickly. But those of us up here, if anybody has the need to use the restroom, just notify the chair and we'll confer with the judge and pick an appropriate time to take a quick break. We're ready to go back in session, Your Honor.
All right. Does the state have a second witness?
I would like to call Mr. Bond as an adverse witness.
All right. Mr. Bond, if you would please take the witness chair, please.
Would you please state your full name, please, for the record?
Adrian Alley Bond.
And Mr. Bond, you applied for a license with the state of Tennessee as a licensed real estate agent first in 2005, is that correct?
That's correct.
And on your application for that license, you answered no to the question, have you ever had a complaint filed against you with any regulatory board, with any court, didn't you?
Yes, that's correct.
Why did you lie?
I didn't lie. I never had a formal complaint. I was called to answer to the group of individuals that were part of an investment club about things after I had already left the business, but it was never brought up into a formal complaint.
Is there a consent order that has your name, Adrian Alley Bond, order number 04015, before the Commissioner of Commerce and Insurance of the state of Tennessee at Nashville? Is there a consent order documenting the allegations you speak of?
Yes, yes.
That's not a complaint?
This was I didn't get this until 2012.
Mr. Bond, there's a signature on this document that appears to be your signature, and I'd like you to look at it for me. That's not your signature?
No, that's not mine.
Okay, let me ask you a question then, please. On your document that you filed with the state of Tennessee, is this your signature in the PSI examination?
Yes, yes, it is.
And that is not your signature?
No, that's not.
And your PSI examination, the signature you have looks identical.
No,
It's not yours.
no, it's not mine.
Is it your signature on your application on 2012?
Yes,
But
that
that
is.
signature in 2012 looks very different from the application we just spoke of in the PSI examination. Very different. But this is your signature over here in the PSI.
That's correct.
But it's not your signature, even though it looks identical to the signature of the consent order.
That's correct.
Did you have a securities license, Mr. Bond?
Yes, I did.
Do you have it now?
No, I don't.
What's the status of your license?
Of that license? I quit the industry in 2003, and I I went to another business venture.
Does it
So,
say revoked?
according to the consensus, I hadn't seen what the formal thing is with the state, but according to the consent order, it does,
Okay,
and which I never signed.
which you never signed.
Yes, I never was. I went to Nashville one time when the investment group, when they asked me questions regarding that in '04, about 6 months after the time in which I had already quit out of the business, and I never went back to Nashville to sign that document. The document was never notarized by, with anyone stating it's my signature.
It doesn't say it has to be notarized, does it?
No.
Are you suggesting that perhaps Commissioner Flowers signed your name?
I'm unaware how that actually happened. I never went to Nashville to sign that document, and it was never notarized. If it was mailed to me, it would have been, I never did send anything back to them.
Do you suggest then that perhaps Daphne Smith, the Assistant Commissioner, or Michael Elliott somehow forged your name on this document?
I'm not sure how that was, how it was done.
Why do you
I don't have a clue.
Why would you think they would sign the document with a false signature from you?
Again, I have no idea.
Did you have an attorney?
I had an attorney that was working with me on the business venture.
Did you have an attorney in this
No, I didn't.
complaint?
No, I did not.
Now, in your answer to the state, you actually referred to a lot of the complaints that were addressed in this security complaint,
Yes,
didn't you?
yes, after I read.
So apparently you were aware that there were issues, at least with the Department of Securities, and that caused the consent order to at least be drafted. You were aware of that?
No, I was not. I wasn't aware of that until I read that in 2012.
Did you go out of the country, or do you have a twin or something?
No.
Okay. How come, in your answer to this commission, you didn't even bother to explain why you lied? Why didn't you say somehow, here's my attorney, there was never a complaint filed, here it is, that was absolutely false, I have someone that can prove it. Where's the proof to show that there wasn't one? That you didn't just lie? Where's that proof?
Could you repeat
In your answer to the
Right.
commission, all you do is explain away the securities allegations.
Right.
You don't
Because
talk about,
I was never aware of any kind of formal complaint, again, until 2012, when I received this so-called signed consent form. I wasn't made aware of that, even at the time of the application in 05 and 08.
okay, well, let me ask you another question. When you received a copy of the complaint in April of 2012, how come you didn't answer it until August of 2012?
I wasn't, actually, I'm not aware when I was, if you all say that it was back in August, then it was in August.
Well, your date of the letter says August 3rd of 2012, and you heard Ms. Maxwell say that a copy of the complaint was sent to you in April of 2012. So how come you didn't answer that within the time provided by law?
I received a second letter, and that's when I replied.
Okay.
Or a second email from Connell House.
On August 16th, or August 6th, you did reply. No, excuse me. Let me take that back. On April 18th of 2012, Mr. Connell House sent you a copy of the complaint, and it says, please confirm reception to an email address of adrianbond@att.net. Is that your email address?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And I see a response, which I'll show you in a moment, to that email dated Monday, August 6th of 2012. What happened between the April and August? The email.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I mean, I replied at the second time when they told me I needed to reply.
Let me show it to you. You were sent a hard copy in the mail, and you say, you didn't get that? Is that what you're saying?
I did, and then I did my own personal research just to.
And then Mr. Bond and Mr. House on April 18th sent you an email asking to confirm reception. And when is the date of your reply there? What's about it? What's the date?
August 6th.
August 6th. What does the law provide when you get a complaint from the Tennessee Department of Commerce Insurance, Regulatory Board, Real Estate Commission? How long do you have to file a response to a complaint?
It was just 10 days.
10 days, not 2 months, not 3 months, 10 days.
That's correct.
Why didn't you reply?
Well, I called the state. I wanted to see where did all of this originate from, and as soon as I was able to ascertain those facts, that's when I replied. Because again, I wasn't made aware of any of this until at that time when you all gave me that information.
I have nothing further at the moment.
All right. Did you have any further testimony you wanted to give in light of the state's questions? At this time, this is not your testifying in chief.
No, I don't.
Okay. Did the commission members have questions of Mr. Bond at this time based on his testimony as an adverse witness? Sure, go right ahead.
Mr. Bond,
Yes.
you stated that you never signed a document, but you went to Nashville.
That's correct.
What was the purpose of going to Nashville?
The purpose when shortly after, well, I guess it was in 2004, I went there to answer, I guess respond to allegations from the investment club that I guess was submitted in '03 about the outside affiliation that we had a stake in, and I replied to it, and that was it.
So there was a complaint filed?
Well, there was not a formal complaint. They were just they said they were investigating. They wanted to hear my side of it. So at that point, the problem was the people who were initially part of the complaint, they were unwilling to, I guess, formalize their complaints because at that time, the business was already up and going, and they had already,
So you're saying that there was some concern, but there was never a formal complaint?
That's correct. That's correct.
And when you left Nashville, what was your understanding as to?
They told me that they would see if anyone would be willing to file a formal complaint, and that they would get back in touch with me.
Did they ever get in touch with you?
I spoke to an individual one other time, and that was it. And it might have been in regards to the fact about if I was going to be trying to get an application with another firm or something along. And I told them that due to health reasons that I left the business and I wasn't returning.
Thank you.
Mr. Bond, when I look at the applications that you filed, twice, and then some other signatures in here of yours, they all appear to be different. Just a little bit here and a little bit there. So how then is anyone to determine that your signature, that's not your signature, since you never sign it exactly the same?
Well, again, I would presume to think that a regulatory board, if there was a complaint, they would at least have me sign it at that place. It would be notarized to reflect that I am the person that's signing it. Either one, and that was not the case. So I'm not certain of other than the fact that I know that that's not my signature.
What do you have to do to get a securities license?
You have to take the Series 7, which is a 6-hour exam, 8-hour exam, pass that, and then pass a series of background checks, and make at least a 70 on the Series 7.
Then do you have to renew it like you do your real estate license every few years, or once you get it, you have it?
Yeah, once you get it, you have it, just as long as you remain active in the business. If you're out of the business for 2 years, then you have to go back and reapply and take the test all over again. Only thing that you have to reapply for is state licensing. And
Is that like a business license, or?
no, I guess it's through the whatever state that you're conducting business in. I guess like through the Tennessee
Okay.
Department of Commerce and Securities, and it works similar to having a real estate license, in which you have to pay a fee. And
So you have to renew it and pay a fee?
That's right.
And so did you just think if you didn't renew it, it just expired?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
I have no question.
I have another question, unless Mr. Flitcroft has a question. No. Following up to Commissioner Haynes, are you saying that there's no formal process for retiring a securities license?
No, it's not. It's if you are out of the business for 2 years, at least that's how it was then when I was in the business. If you're out of the business for 2 years, then you have to go back and take the exam and take the course prior to taking the exam and pay the $1,100 at that time fee to take the exam. So there was no formal process of just saying, you know, I'm turning my license into a state. They don't give you a license to hang on a wall or anything like you do a real estate license.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Bond, all these allegations in this consent order that we have, you're not denying any of those, is that correct?
Well, I denied the fact of what they said. Yes, I did deny those allegations, and that was part of the problem as why they were having problems bringing forward formal complaint. All of those people were in an investment club that I had initially started, and once the business opened on January 1 of 2004, by the time that the complaint that it was, I guess, they're saying June of 04 or whenever, July of 04, all of those matters had been settled. They said that it was initially brought to their attention at the latter part of 03 after I had already gotten out of the business, but at the time in which they talked to the people who actually had the complaints, they were unwilling to I guess keep that same story up again, because their whole point was they just wanted to receive their money back on their investment, and it started in January 1 of 2004. So by that time, they had already been made whole and had made quite a bit of money.
I'm gonna get back to real quickly. I mean, I'm having a hard time on this consent order on the back page. I'm having a hard time not believing that's your signature. And looking at some of your other signatures that you have put on these applications. And that's all I got to say.
Well, in just response to that, the only thing I want to know how it got there. I mean, I didn't sign that in Nashville. I did not go to somewhere and sign it and send it back, being notarized or in everything that we do in this profession. You know, you go buy a house, you got to have a notary there to acknowledge that this is your signature, especially something of this nature. I can't explain. You know, I did not go to Nashville to sign it. One, this was never mailed to me to sign for me to send back to them. You know, and so that's my whole.
Well, I have a question, Mr. Bond.
Yes.
In your answer to the complaint,
Right.
you say, through my counsel, I disputed the findings and never agreed to sign.
That's
Did
what.
you dispute those in writing?
Well, they called me, and I went to Nashville that one time, and that's when I disputed. The council did not come with me, but they told me what I needed to do, and so I went and I answered the question that they were inquiring about. They were following up on, and part of the problem is, again, by the time when they called me, they were not getting any kind of help from the initial people due to the lag time that I guess those allegations had come up prior. So when they called me there, they wanted to hear my side. And their main thing that they wanted to know was I planning on continuing in the business? And they called me back to inquire if I was in the business or had any intention of going back to the business. I told them that I did not.
So, Mr. I've got one other question. I already have a question. I'm looking at the order of your securities license that you say you didn't sign, but the commissioner and all those other people signed it. So I would assume that if you were applying for another license and you are going through today the very same thing you did once before, that you'd have no memory, or you thought we just come to question you. Is that the feeling you have today of this hearing?
No. The problem with that is I was not made aware of that consent order until 2012 because
But you answered these questions. You went to this meeting.
What meeting?
Wasn't that, well, you say you went to Nashville.
Yes, but that wasn't for that. That was doing the investigative part.
Oh, I see. That
Yes.
wasn't, you don't recollect of ever going to this meeting. You're saying this
No,
never happened.
it wasn't a meeting. It was a one-on-one. We sat down and a
None of
ladies.
this ever happened.
None of that and that. No, it did not. No, it was not a commission like this or anything. It was one person that wanted to know, ask questions.
Did you sit down?
It was a young lady there. I'm not sure of her name, but it was just one lady.
It was an investigator for the department, and you just sat down and spoke with her one-to-one, and
That's
there was
correct.
nobody like this?
No, that's
or-
absolutely correct.
Or did you ever talk to Ms. Flowers, or?
I don't remember. I don't remember. I
Smith.
could have. I don't remember those. And it was just one lady that I had any communication with.
Elliot, yeah.
And so that one time, it was something very, very informal. It lasted maybe 45 minutes, and then I left. And she just told me that she was having some issues with the people who had initially complained, and they were not getting anywhere with those people. And so they told me that they would get back in touch with me. And I guess the next step would have been a formal process.
My understanding, Your Honor, at this point, Mr. Bond is the definition,
Mr. Bond has been called as an adverse witness by the
adverse witness.
state.
He will be on,
He will
Be
be
a witness.
testifying on his own behalf if the state has no further witness.
I have something further for the witness. I have follow-up questions based on what
You
the
have a
commi-
follow-up question?
based on the questions of the commission. I have follow-up adverse questions for Mr. Bond.
That's a bit unusual, but okay.
Oh, it's okay. I'd be happy to wait till after he presents, if that's what you
Okay,
prefer.
that would be much more
I'm happy to do that.
traditional. All right, Mr. Bond. This would now be your opportunity to testify on your own behalf. You may have some notes or what have you back at counsel's table, I don't know. Or you may be prepared to just testify now.
Yeah, I am. I'm prepared to testify.
You're prepared,
Yeah.
okay. This is your direct testimony. This is your opportunity to explain to this commission those things that you want them to know about.
Right. Okay.
Please proceed.
Okay. At issue is the consent order. And at the time in 2005, when I initially had applied for my real estate license, I was not made aware of any formal complaints. I didn't lay eyes on this consent thing until it was brought to my attention in 2012 by Trek, and that's when I began to delve into it. It took a while because it was, at that point, it was 8 years, 9 years going into since those things had happened. And the first thing that I wanted to know, and I could never get an answer to, was where did I sign this? No one could give me that answer. through the state. They didn't have any record to show that I went back to there.
I'm going to object to who they are.
Excuse me. The department, the Tennessee Security
I'm going to object to
Division.
anything that you are presenting from the Department of Security as hearsay. They are not here to testify on his behalf, whatever they might have said or not said to you.
Well, but for state of mind, I'm going to overrule your objection.
Thank you.
Based on state of mind.
So at that point, I wanted to know, I mean, if it was mailed, if it was, did I come there and sign it in person? Was it, and I could not get those answers. And that was the problem that I had. And again, from 04 to 2012, at both times in 05 and 08, and at the time of I applied, this was totally unaware. I was totally unaware of this. Had I known that there was anything out there that was formal, I would have replied yes. I've seen people apply to the board after they've answered yes. So personally, had I known that, I would have been honest and I definitely, if this was signed July of 2004, I would think only a fool would turn right back around in July 2005, in less than a year, and apply to the same state agency that if they had complaints and would not at least acknowledge it. I don't understand how that works, but just a layman, I would think that at the very least, at the time of the real estate application, if it's less than a year and I had a formal complaint, that would have come up immediately, especially going through the same Tennessee Department of Commerce and Insurance. And so I just have a hard time trying to understand how does it go from 05 to 08, and then all of a sudden somehow in 2012, 8 years later, that now a consent order appears out of nowhere that's not notarized. There's nothing to state that I came there to any kind of hearing or with anybody and signed it in front of any of these people. And so that was the problem that I had, and I don't understand, how that actually happened. I never, from the time I was from 99 to 2003, while I was employed as a financial advisor, I never had a single complaint. I had, at the time in which I left, I had over 500 clients. Not one complaint at the time in which I left. When I've had over 300 transactions in real estate, I have not had one complaint. I'm a church-going person. I'm not here to try to lie. I want to disagree with the sermon that anyone is considering me a liar, because I am not. I'm a church-going man. I'm deacon on my deacon board. I do not lie. I have a outside business that my parents run that I can make small income on, but this is my primary. So I take those kind of things personally, and again, my whole thing is no one can show me where it states that I came in and signed anything. How did this signature come about? The burden of proof is on the state. I have not. No one can say that Adrian Bond has come in and signed anything in front of those two ladies. They can't say that I mailed something back through mail, because if they would have that kind of information, and I have not. And so that's all that I have to say.
All right,
I have some cross.
cross-examination.
Thank you. Mr. Bond, did you have to reinstate your license with the State of Tennessee TREC Division in 2010?
Yes, I believe so.
May I approach the witness?
Yes. You just dropped something, but that's okay.
Is that your signature at the bottom of the page?
Yeah, that looks like mine.
Okay, and now please look at this document. The
the bill, I can't even understand what that makes out on the last letter, on my last name. I actually define my O and N a little bit better. If you look on most of my signatures, that's,
In the top of this document, is there a fax number on the top of the application, the securities commissioner?
yes, there is.
And what does it say it's from?
6-1 Tennessee Securities Division.
Securities Division. So this is a document that someone was faxed to somebody, but there's a document that said it came from the Securities Division, right?
Yeah, from a 615 number.
So, yes, but it says in Securities Division.
That's correct.
Are you suggesting, though, that then somehow, since it came directly from security, that somebody there forged your name?
I'm not sure. I don't work for the Tennessee. I've never worked for the Tennessee Securities Division.
Okay, but this came from the Securities Division. There's no question about this signature page came from the Tennessee Securities Division.
That's correct.
And you're saying you didn't sign it?
That's correct. I went there one time and I met with one lady for about 45 minutes and I did not sign anything.
Could that lady have been an attorney?
No, she was not an attorney.
Are you sure? Because there was an attorney probably shown up.
No, she didn't. If she was an attorney, she didn't claim that she was an attorney. She was a representative investigating a, I guess, I don't remember. I mean,
So it could have been Ms. Dowdy, could it have been Ms. Daphne Smith, also female, assistant commissioner?
it could have been. I can describe the lady, but I'm not,
Just asking you. You don't
again,
remember anybody's name?
that was in _04 and
Could this document have been sent to you and you signed it, and then via fax and sent it back?
no, it did not. I never signed a fax from the state.
May I have this document from the commission? It's not part of the exhibit, but it is something we just verified. I don't think
And so you'd like it to be Exhibit 3 and then to pass it through the members? Hearing no objection, the document's admitted as Exhibit 3. And it'll be passed from member to member since we don't have sufficient copies.
Do you know what the Memphis Center for Urban Theological Studies is?
Ms. Ryan, if you would, be sure to speak up. You don't have a microphone now.
Do you know what the Memphis Center for Urban Theological Studies is?
No, I don't.
Hold on just a moment. Okay, now you stated earlier that you never went to a hearing, right, with the security division?
That's correct.
Well, consent order doesn't mean there was a hearing, does it? Doesn't mean there was a hearing. It just says you agreed to the fact. That's what the consent order says.
Yeah, I guess that's, yes.
Okay. And you're still saying that you weren't aware of any of this until sometime in 2012, although we're not sure when, since you did respond to August.
That's correct. Yes. It was
But
to
you
2000.
were informed of it in April of 2010.
I was informed
Oh,
of.
I'm sorry, 12.
Yes, it was. Yes.
And again, you didn't bother to file a response until August of 2012.
Right after I initially conducted mine.
Even though the law says you have to do 10 days.
Yes.
And you do admit that you did have a securities license at one point.
That's correct.
I have nothing further.
All right. Commission members, questions for the witness?
I have one of Mr. Bond. Mr. Bond, are you testifying that you didn't even know anything about this consent order?
No, I did not until 2012. That's correct.
You did not know that the Securities Division, the Department of Commerce and Insurance in Tennessee had found you and had ordered that you to pay respondent Adrian Alley Bond is hereby assessed civil penalties in the amount of $20,000 that sum be due in payment in full upon execution of this document, but in no event later than July 25th, 2004. You did not know anything about this?
No, as a matter of fact, when I was made aware of this, then I received a letter from the state saying that I owed $20,000 right after I had received that complaint in 2012. I didn't have any knowledge of the 20,000 some odd dollars is still saying that I owe that amount. And I didn't even get anything from reflecting that until about 2 weeks after that letter that was brought to my attention by Trick.
Do you know how far-fetched this sounds on your behalf to say you were not aware of this?
Well, one thing that I do know is that I do know that the state does not play when it comes to trying to collect their money, and I can't see how it would go 9 years and it's saying that I owe $20,000, and there's been no action to go after me if that was something that I was aware about. That was the troubling part about. That's why I'm curious as to when did this consent form come about, because at the time when it appeared out of nowhere in 2012, and then a couple of weeks later I get a letter stating that I owe 20,000 some odd dollars. And if it was an 8 or 9 year period, I can't see how the state is going to allow me to be walking around owing $20,000, and I hadn't made a single payment on that, a single penny payment on that.
You answered my question. You didn't know anything about it.
I didn't.
Mr. Bond, how many times have you talked to the Securities Division since you found out about this complaint in 2012?
I called them that one time.
So they've got a judgment for $20,800 and something dollars. You've only made an attempt to talk with them one time, and they haven't collected anything?
Well, the collection, I guess, it's a different division, and so they want me to set up some kind of a payment arrangement with them, and again, I told them that I needed to get a grasp of where did all this even come about, and I told them that I was unaware of the fact that I owed even $20,000, and so but I think that came from the Attorney General office. It was something. Whoever's in part of the collection agency is different from the securities side. I'd had to talk to the securities side to get an understanding, to try to wrap my mind around this consent order. But the people that are collecting the money from the state is a different entity, and they want, of course, now they want me to set up some kind of a payment arrangement to pay the $20,856, and I told them that as long as I had this hanging over my head, my income has been sorely deprived, and while this is ongoing, so I could not agree to anything until I could have my income, reinstated, and so.
Who did you talk to when you talked to the Securities Division that one time?
It was I just called the regular, the 615 number, and it was a young lady, and I wanted to understand about the process of how would a person, how do they go about getting consent orders signed, and it was just a lady who, the receptionist referred me to someone, I guess maybe in the investigative department.
And you have not made any attempts to contact an attorney or anything like that to get this matter straightened out?
Well, I initially did, but it costs money for an attorney, and that's why I don't have one now. And again, while this was hanging over my head, my income has been cut. I have a 17-year-old daughter, and I have 2 foster kids, and I don't have the additional money to afford an attorney. I plan on having something done about it, because I do know that was not my signature. I do know I did not go to the state and sign this. I do know I did not sign this in front of a notary. I know I did not mail this back. Now, if there's, the way I normally see faxes come in is it shows where it came from. The only number that I see on there is from a 615. Now, how does a 615 number, why is a fax going back to the state of Tennessee? That fax did not come to me. It didn't come from a number that I owned. It came from a 615 number going back to the state of Tennessee. So it appears as though it was sent in-house. So I wanted to know where, if you're trying to say that I faxed this in, where is the cover sheet showing that I faxed something in from me? And I could not get that. I couldn't get anything. I couldn't get anything to show that, any record to show that I came back to sign it. I couldn't get anything to show that it was a notary. I couldn't get anything to show that it was mailed back. So to answer your question, I do plan on getting an attorney once my income is sufficient to be able to fight this. Because definitely, I would have never signed something that stating that I would seek never to have my license with the Department of Commerce and Insurance, especially when I have to go. I went right back within a year. I went right back within a year. I mean, it was not, I didn't have anything to hide. If I had something to hide, I wouldn't, it would not, I can't understand why someone with any kind of sense would turn around less than a year and apply back to the same board that said that they cannot have a license.
When are you gonna start paying that $20,000 back?
Hopefully over the next month, because I've got some ability to be able to make some money, but I can't, yeah.
What do you do now? You sell real estate for,
Yes.
are
but-
you a principal broker, managing
Well,
broker?
since I was applying for a principal broker, they put it on pending status, or I'm not sure what it is, but I was never granted it. But I was just an affiliate broker seeking to become a principal broker.
Are you affiliate broker now then?
Yes, that's an affiliate broker. I passed the exam, but after the time in which my application came up, that's when, shortly thereafter, is when
Right.
that issue came up.
So are you with a firm?
Yes.
And how many's in that firm?
6, 7.
So it's not a great big firm?
No, not at all.
And is your principal broker aware of what's going on?
Well, the problem is right now, because I actually had bought the firm, and I was a partner in the firm. I bought the firm, and my broker retired, and that was the reason why I was going to go get my broker's license at the time. So I was going to bring someone on, but I wanted to have it so that in the event that someone ever decided to leave, that I wouldn't be without a broker. And that's when I took the exam. So as of right now, no one is doing any business, including myself.
He's operating his own company without a broker.
But he says
I'm not, the company's not in operation.
It's not in operation.
Yes, they would
What
not.
about those other licensees that are, that were with you?
It was 6 individuals that we transferred over to another firm. And the hope is that once I'm able to at least make money in order to be either bring a broker along or for me to be able to get a principal broker, then I could try to go back and get those.
If Ms. Maxwell pulled up your company and your license and your firm number, wonder what she'd find?
Nothing. The company, the previous broker had one complaint, and that was against another agent. But I never, again, I've never had a complaint in 05.
I wasn't talking about complaints, sir. I just said, what would we find on the website if we went Tennessee website and looked up your company?
Nothing. I tried to apply to have the company reinstated, but they told me that I could not. The state told me that I could not because I did not have a broker. And so the company is in all practical purposes defunct until, either I have a broker or I was able to get my broker's license.
But you still have an active affiliate license?
No, I'm not doing any business. They've got it on a pending status, I believe, is what they call it.
Pending also?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you're not selling real estate
No,
at all?
no, I'm not. And that's the reason why I could not, make a payment plan out, because without knowing what my income would be over the next.
You got to support a family. What are you?
Well, my family has a business in which I get, each one of the kids gets a small amount of the ongoing business. And so that's basically just what I'm using to just support myself.
So you tell me that you didn't sign this consent decree, but you just came back and told me that you're gonna start paying for something that you didn't sign, repaying a $20,000 obligation. Was that not what you told me?
Well, I do know that I did not want to have the state trying to proceed, trying to collect, or going through any other kind of measures in order to do it. But I do know that I am at the very point in which I have some income, that I am going to fight this, because no one yet has been able to show me that where I signed this and how this signature came about on this consent form.
Well, if Ms. Flowers and all those other folks signed this and you didn't sign it, still you agreeable to pay it back? So therefore you are admitting guilt then, whether
No.
you signed it or not?
Well,
Is that?
No, I'm not. I've never admitted guilt to anything. What I'm saying is, they brought that attention to me, and when they told me that they were going to try to go and collect through further measures, I do know that I'd rather pay them something and be trying to fight it, because I've got to get an attorney in order to fight it.
Okay, I don't have more questions, just laboring time.
Just out of curiosity, what's his family business that you're involved with and getting income?
My father has this AAP resource group. They do affirmative action plans for federal contractors and subcontractors around the country, and they have annual contracts that my dad started, and he shares that with me and two other of my siblings.
Okay.
Judge, can I ask Ms. Maxwell a question?
What question would it be?
About the fax cover sheet that the complaint came from, that we didn't get a copy of? He brought,
I plan to call Ms. Maxwell back as a rebuttal witness, and I would
Okay.
suggest then she could ask those questions at that time.
Okay, that'll resolve it. Did the commission members have any additional questions for Mr. Bond?
I have none.
If not, then he may return to council's chair. In other words, you can go back to where you were sitting. It appears that the state has a rebuttal witness that's going to recall Ms. Maxwell.
Yes, I would like to recall Ms. Maxwell.
need to leave now.
Right. Thank you so much for being here, sir.
I'd like to recall Eve Maxwell as rebuttal, please. Ms. Maxwell, Mr. Bond just stated that he had 6 or 7 affiliates in his firms and they were all transferred to another firm. Is that right?
The firm Eagle Real Estate Company, number 258460, has 7 affiliates listed, and Mr. Bond, who I didn't count in that 7, so there are actually 8. Mr. Bond was going to be the acting principal broker when the other principal broker left, and then the issues came up with his application.
Do your records reflect that any of these licensees that are listed with Eagle have been transferred to another company?
No, this is our computer printout from 2 days ago, and it shows that there are 8 people in the firm, one of whom, as I say, is Mr. Bond. There's 7 other affiliates, all of whom are in problem status.
But none of them, and there have been no applications for transfer to any other place?
No, as I say, they're listed and they're in problem status.
And the problem status is because?
Because, well, the firm's expired, and Mr. Bond is not a principal broker and not a broker. We've got these issues pending, so there's no principal broker as well. So those individuals are in problem status.
So then Mr. Bond wasn't telling the truth when he said they were transferred to another company, at least as far as your records
Not according
show.
to our records.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
All right. Mr. Bond, did you have a question for Ms. Maxwell?
Generally, how long does it take to transfer lights from the time that you all receive receipt of the trick and the $25?
Usually, I mean, once it gets into
Right.
our office,
Right.
it takes probably 24 to 48 hours.
Okay.
Because it's
so-
really a pretty much an administrative.
Okay. Only reason why I asked is I had received a notice from the broker that I transferred them to, and I had to send even just another check for one of the agents.
I'm going to object to his testifying, Your Honor, unless he's got a question for her.
Okay. That's it, no.
Right, so you
further
don't have
questions.
another question
No.
for her. I believe the board members have questions for her. Please proceed, commission members.
Yes.
With this firm being in problem status, was there any correspondence sent out to the licensees in that firm?
The licensees were made aware of Mr. Bond's or the firm's situation. The former principal broker, Ms. Latimer, advised all her licensees that she was leaving. She actually transferred and started her own firm, and then she went to another firm.
Okay, but my question was, did TREC notify those licensees that they no longer had a broker and that they should take actions to place their license elsewhere?
No, we did not. Ms. Latimer told them that she was leaving.
When did Ms. Latimer inform the individuals?
Ms. Latimer left December of 2011, and then Mr. Bond tested in February of 2012.
And there is no TREC 1 form on file anywhere for either of those individuals who licensed at that time?
The 7 affiliates
Yes, ma'am.
that are, they're not on file for these 7 affiliates. I mean, as of 2 days ago, according to RBS. I mean, they're still listed as members of the firm under Eagle Real Estate Company at 1355 Linfield Road, Suite 245, Building B in Memphis.
Okay. Isn't it customary that when a licensee with a firm is in jeopardy of conducting business erroneously, that the TREC would send them notification that they no longer have a broker? I mean, doesn't TREC take some action rather than leaving it up to the departing broker who may have been deceased at the time?
Who may have been deceased at the time?
I mean, in
Is that what you said?
situations where a broker dies, how are the individuals notified that they need to transfer?
Well, if a principal broker notifies us that they're leaving, then, and we know that they've got someone who's like stepping in temporarily to operate for 60 days, or, you know, the 30 and the 30 according to the policy and now the rule, then we assume that the licensees have gotten together because they've had to put a plan together to let us know whether or not they're going to continue to operate or they're going to wind down the business.
Did we get a plan from Eagle?
No, we did not get a plan from Eagle, and they were put into problem status. Mr. Bond then tested within 60 days for broker, and then these issues came up, and they've been in problem status ever since. And then
So
we've had an auditor go by
We
3
put
times.
licensees in problem status and not notify them of that position?
No, we put them in problem status.
And never notify them that they're in problem status?
No, we don't notify them that they're in problem status. We don't routinely notify them that they're in problem status.
Always?
With regards to the consent order, when I asked previously about where it came from, and you indicated that it did not come from the Department of Securities, when I look at the exhibit, there are 17 pages. The final page shows a masthead from the Department of Securities, but there is no masthead on either of the other 16 pages. How does it happen that one page comes from the Department of Securities and there is no trail for the other 16 pages?
The copy that was faxed to us has the same last page has the Department of Securities. Ours also has the number from which this fax originated. If you go onto the internet, which we did when we got this, and I went on again this morning, there are all of the 17 pages, and again, the last page, just has the Tennessee Securities Division information on it with that signature page that you all have in your package.
But
So
none
when
of the other pages has any additional information?
none of the other pages have a fax information at the top of the, I mean, ours have the fax number from which our information originated. Only the signature page has this from the Tennessee Securities Division, as if someone faxed us a signature page to someone and then that person signed it and sent it back by mail, because it would need to be the original. And so this, and if you, as I say, I went on the internet again this morning and checked it, and it has the exact same information that says July 21st of 04, 11:32 a.m., 7/21, 2004, 11:09, 615-532-8375 is the fax number. 10 Securities Division, page 20, I think 20 of 20 is what it says.
But there's 17 pages, 2 of which are signatory pages, and this is the only page that has that
Right, and if
information.
you,
So I guess my confusion is, was this single page faxed to Track?
no, we received all of the pages of this that you have.
Was it via email or fax?
It was via fax, and we have a fax number at the top, but our last page has that information that you are reading on it, as well as the fax number from which we received it.
But there is no fax number on any of the other pages, including the other signature page.
Right, there's only a fax, well, I mean, we have a fax number on all of our pages, but if you're talking about the fax number from the Tennessee Securities Division, is that the fax number?
The signature page that has what is reported to be Mr. Bond's signature.
Right.
Has 2 fax indicators. One is the Department of Tennessee Securities Division.
I'm sorry, maybe I can clarify this. You got a
Please.
copy of what I have in the complaint file, which is what was given to legal division of the complaint file. Now, it could be, and Ms. Maxwell can answer that, if a copy was sent to us without the other fax numbers on it. But what we have is from Ms. Maxwell's office, and the copy that I have only has that last page with it on it.
So
What
you
Ms. Maxwell
received
has
just
is...
the one page?
We got the entire complaint, but what we have is exactly what you have in front of you, which is the only document that has the fax number on it. You got a copy of the complaint file that is given to legal.
So
But-
if you've got what I've got.
Right.
Then Ms. Maxwell must have something totally different.
I've got what was faxed to us from,
All 17 pages.
well, counting our cover sheet, we have 18, but yes.
Okay. Do
On-
either of the pages 1 through 16 have the fax number from the forwarding number?
From the Tennessee Securities Division?
From wherever it.
Yes, all of
originated.
our pages have the number from which this fax originated in Memphis.
Okay.
I mean, which I can read to you if you would like me to read
Well, I'm
that
trying to
to you.
understand why I got one page that's different from the other 16
The
pages.
one, because
And
this,
that's the page that's being questioned.
correct, in the last page that I have on mine, as well as that one, as well as the one that's on the internet, has the Tennessee Security Division information, and it says page 20 of 20, and then it also says page 3.
So you've got 20 pages that has this same fax identification number on it?
The Securities Division?
Yes.
No, I have the same signature page that you have with just, and that's the only one that has that.
I'm not referring to the signature page. I'm referring to the 16 preceding pages.
No, my 16 preceding pages have the Memphis fax number on them. The signature page has the Memphis fax number, but it also has the number from the Securities Division.
My page 17 does not have a 901 area code.
But we need to take a break while everybody's figuring out just exactly what Commissioner Northern is asking. But anyway, we're taking a break right now while he changes the tape.
All right. And how long a break are you taking?
We're gonna have to do some checking out, 10 minutes at least.
Let's just take a 10-minute break.